Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Welcome to another new moon, new month, as appointed by Yahweh. Every new moon is the beginning of a month. So as we were commanded to observe the new moons, we gathered on this evening so we can read out of the legacy that Yahweh has left on to us. Tonight's class is called The Dangers of Leaving the Past in the Past. If we look at the image in front of us, or the image that's on screen, the first thing we see is Israel that we used to occupy. The middle is what Israel is now. This is how small it's been cut down and what it has become. And the last one is what was promised to us. So we can see the difference in sizes. So you're looking at past, present, and future. If you don't know the past, you're bound to repeat it. It's because of the past writings that we're able to refer to the scriptures and understand who we are as a people, what our forefathers went through as a nation, and to be able to draw the parallels linking us to being the children of Israel. But how many use the past, whether it be your own or someone else's, to examine your walk, your deeds, your speech, or even your behavior? Or are you one of those who just wants to move on quickly and forget everything that is not pleasing to you? Let's begin in Yohanan chapter 8. That's John chapter 8. And we're going to read verses 31 through 38.
Then said Yahshua to those Yehudis which believed in him, If ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, We be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free?
So what took place here at this point that they're so delusional to believe that we were never in bondage? They didn't just forget it on their own. That had to be generations of people not passing on the legacy, passing on the history, which we see happening here in this same place as today. They want us to forget about slavery. They don't even teach it in school anymore. So what's going to happen to future generations? They're going to say the same thing. We ain't never been in bondage to no man. And some of the history books are saying that we came over here seeking better opportunities. So there is the benefit of us passing on oral history. Because if we don't pass on oral history, then the next generations are apt to believe what they read. Go ahead.
Yahshua answered them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my father, and ye do that which ye have seen with your father. That's it.
All right, let's go to Exodus chapter 21. Exodus chapter 21. Exodus chapter 21, and we're going to read verses 28 through 36.
If an ox gore a man or a woman, that they die, then the ox shall be surely stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten. But the owner of the ox shall be quiet. But if the ox were wont to push with his horn in time past, it hath been testified to his owner, and he hath not kept him in, but he hath killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner also shall be put to death.
So if an ox has been known to push in times past, and it has been testified to his owner, and he's not kept him in, that means you're not responsible for this animal. Now, when he kills somebody, the end result is you're going to be killed. But here's the thing. We have to have examples of the past. We have to be able to go back into the past and show where this has happened. A lot of people don't like it when you bring up the past. Somebody's got to be keeping record. But at the same token, you got to also let the owner know. It can't be the first time that you say, hey, you know your ox just killed a man. But here's the problem. It's his ox. Sometimes we so busy looking at what's ours, we're not looking at, okay, what's ours might deal with us well because it knows us. But how does it deal with other people? Sometimes you got to sit back and observe. Once somebody brings something to you, sit back and observe. Start watching and see how people deal, how things deal. I knew a guy years ago, he had a boxer. Said his neighbor told him, hey man, when you leave, your dog gets out. And I said, how's that? Got a 12-foot gate. In his mind, this is impossible. How's this dog getting out? One day while he was home, man called him and said, hey, look out the window. He looked out the window. The dog is climbing up the gate. But that's the capability of a boxer. If you don't know that breed of dog, you don't understand that they actually climb. Pits will do it too. So as long as he didn't see it, he wasn't going to believe it. And we can't be like that. We have to put situations and circumstances to see how people deal. I drive with my boy. I put him in different circumstances and situations to see his thought process, to see how he deals. Sometimes we want to shelter everybody that we never actually see how they deal when we're not around. Sometimes you just got to sneak up and stand in the corner and watch. That goes for wives. That goes for husbands. That goes for children. That goes for animals. Your dog will be meek and humble while you're there. And you turn your back and he at the neighbors. But we've got to be able to also look at the past, and when people say, hey man, this is a pattern, take it in. Digest it. All of us have issues. Go ahead.
If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he shall give for the ransom of his life whatsoever is laid upon him, whether he have gored a son or have gored a daughter. According to this judgment shall it be done unto him.
That's it, my brother.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay. If
Verse
the ox
36.
shall push a manservant or a maidservant, he shall give unto their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. And if a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit and not cover it, and an ox or an ass fall therein, the owner of the pit shall make it good, and give money unto the owner of them, and the dead beast shall be his.
Now, here we're looking at digging a physical pit. What if the pit you dig is with words? Are you going to be responsible for the hole that you put this person in because of your words? See, a lot of times we got to stop just looking at the physical word that's there and look at spiritual implications. Hey man, if I go out and defame your name, I'm digging a pit. Because that pit can cause you to not get a job. That pit can cause you to not get a promotion. That pit can cause your significant other to leave you. Now what? Your life is falling into ruins. But we're sitting there looking at the physical pit. Go ahead.
And if a man's ox hurts another's, that he die, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the money of it, and the dead ox also they shall divide. Or if it be known that the ox hath used to push in time past, and his owner hath not kept him in, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead shall be his own.
So in the past, you know how this animal operated, but you did not do what was necessary to keep this animal from harming anyone. Ox can be considered a beast. They're a human beast as well. A man without law is a beast. Your actions and your deeds. So let's be mindful of past operations. But we all have a responsibility to bring it to each other's attention. I joke about it and I continue to say it because it's allowing me to grow. Anybody who has ever watched and been watching has heard it said before. Kiss your confrontational. Do I take that to heart and get mad and stomp off? No, I look at that as an opportunity for me to look at myself. And while I'm looking at myself, I look at my past and see how I've dealt in the past and say, yep, you're right. Because I've been that way a long time. Do I make that as an excuse and say that's just me and stay there? But while I'm doing that, I'm looking at other past situations that brings you to that point and see how you correct that. You've got people who won't step up and say nothing because, hey man, I got anger issues. But hey, while you're not stepping up to handle certain situations getting worse. So why don't you learn how to control the anger in these situations, but still yet take care of the situation? And then what you do is you go back and you reflect on, how did I handle that situation? And then you go and you ask people, hey man, did I come off wrong on you? And that's how we start to grow. Instead of looking at ourselves in the mirror and say, I'm a wonderful individual. There's no one like me. I'm the greatest. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 6. And then there is no one like you. But we all can use some adjustments. Like my mother's biggest statement is, I'm trying to get older and better, not older and bitter. Second Samuel chapter 6. And let's start that at verse 1.
Again, Dawid gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And Dawid arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baal Yehudah to bring up from thence the ark of Elohim, whose name is called by the name of Yahweh of hosts, that dwell between the cherubim. And they set the ark of Elohim upon a new cart and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in Gibeah, and Uzziah and Ahiah, the son of Abinadab, drove the new cart. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was in Gibeah, accompanying the ark of Elohim. And Ahiah went before the ark. And Dawid and all the people on all the house of Israel played before Yahweh on all manners of instruments made of firewood, even on harps, on psalteries, on timbrels, and on cornets and cymbals, excuse me. And when they came to notions, threshing floor, Uzziah put forth his hand to the ark of Elohim and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of Elohim was kindled against Uzziah, and Elohim smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of Elohim. And Dawid was displeased because Yahweh had made a breach upon Uzziah, and he called the name of the place Perez Uzziah this day. And Dawid was afraid of Yahweh that day and said, how shall the ark of Yahweh come to me?
So all of this started out with singing and dancing and merrymaking. Then a tragedy happens. Everything ceased. Now we got to go meditate on some stuff. Go ahead.
So Dawid would not remove the ark of Yahweh unto him into the city of Dawid, but Dawid carried it aside unto the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. And the ark of Elohim continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months. And Yahweh was pleased, and Yahweh blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. And it was told King Dawid, saying, Yahweh hath blessed the house of Obed-Edom and all that pertaineth unto him, because of the ark of Elohim. So Dawid went and brought up the ark of Elohim from the house of Obed-Edom into the city of Dawid with gladness. And it was so that when they that bear the ark of Yahweh had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And Dawid danced before Yahweh with all his might. And Dawid was girded with linen ephod.
Now, we see here, right, if you're not paying attention in verse 13, and it was so that when they that bear the ark of Yahweh, they bearing the ark of Yahweh, before where was it at? It was in a cart, and an oxen was carrying it. So how did they figure out they need to bear the ark? Dawid went back and researched the past and realized this is supposed to be borne by these people. This is how this is supposed to be done. What stops us from doing the same? And it's not to say that he just dealt with just going in the book. He probably went and talked to people, asked people. How do I take care of this issue? It was an issue caused by him. So guess what he did? He went back and figured out how to correct the issue, how to deal with it properly. His problem cost a man his life. Same thing here. Let's not look at the physical. Let's look at what problems we can cause somebody their spiritual. Do we stop and think about that? How many people's spiritual death have you caused? Because you didn't handle a situation right. How many of us back up and say, hey, let me deal with this in this manner? If we all look back, we all have been foul some sort of way. And with the foulness that we've all done in the past, we've left some people out there. I was talking to one of my boys last night. And I said, hey, man, you know so-and-so? He said, yeah. I said, hey, I'm the first person invited that introduced that man to the strip club. Okay? Yahweh has changed my life. I get them calls every night. Yeah, man, we gonna do this. Brother, I don't do that. But you the one. Hey, I take responsibility for that. That was the old me. But brother, I don't do that. But that's a reminder that this person is still stuck in a manner that I caused. I put them on that path. And I was even explaining to my boy, hey, there was that time when, you got your boy and you say, you know what, I'm going to introduce him to, I'm going to be the man to introduce him to this life. Hey, man, most of us, before we got in this walk, was looking for the day you can take your boy and go, hey, me and my boy went to the strip club. I took him to the strip club. I took him out here and introduced him to this. How we change your life? You got to change your direction. But don't get mad when those reminders from the past come back and say, no, you were the one that introduced me to this. I do my best to try to explain things. And the good thing is I see, even though this person is out walking, is not in the war, they'll ask questions. Like I've been getting these questions. So explain to me what it is about the Christmas. I know it's paganism. Explain to me. Explain to me. I was like, you biting onto some stuff there, huh? So guess what? Maybe that's Yahweh's giving me an opportunity to clean up that mess. Whether he walks or not, I'm going to give you some spiritual food. And if you don't let it override, at least I've done my part and I've paid for that wrong that I did. Go ahead.
Verse 15. So Dawid and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of Yahweh with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. And as the ark of Yahweh came into the city of Dawid, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through the window and saw King Dawid leaping and dancing before Yahweh. And she despised him in her heart.
Now, this is a joyful thing. Once we figure out where we went wrong and can overcome it and stay on the path, we got reason to rejoice. But everybody ain't going to be happy for you. And just like this situation, it might be the wife of your bosom. But do you let that kill your spirit and dampen your spirit? Nah, man, once you've done something and correcting your walk, oh man, you should strut. There should be an extra pep in your step. And then you should also be looking for other things that you need to correct along the way. That's the beauty of being able to examine our past. And we can help each other. Because there's past actions and deeds that I might not be aware of that y'all can bring to my attention. Just like he's brought it to me. You're confrontational. That didn't come from one incident. That came from observing. Hey, I've had a young brother tell me, you're passive aggressive. Oh, really? Just to later on have to tell that young brother, that's because you're passive aggressive too. Go ahead.
And they brought in the ark of Yahweh and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that Dawid had pitched for it. And Dawid offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Yahweh. And as soon as Dawid had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of Yahweh of hosts. And he dwelt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well as the women and men, to everyone a cake of bread, a good piece of flesh, and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his house.
So in the breach that he did, Israel suffered. Mourning took place. When he corrected it, all of Israel rejoiced in it too. It's only fair. We go through things as a family here and we, whoa, hey. But when peace comes, don't y'all all enjoy it? When we going through the crap with one person and everybody is, woe is me and this is hard and man, why we got to go through this? But boy, when it gets good, that's what family is about. The ups and the downs, the goods and the bad. The roller coaster ride of life. Go ahead.
Then Dawid returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet Dawid and said, "How glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaidens of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself." And Dawid said unto Michal, "It was before Yahweh, which chose me before thy father, and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of Yahweh, over Israel. Therefore will I play before Yahweh."
And there you go. Hey man, you ain't gonna stop me from rejoicing in front of my Elohim. I don't care what you think, feel, or believe. I'm gonna do backflips if it's necessary. And I'm gonna keep playing for my Elohim. You got a little something off in you're gonna have to deal with that. And we all gotta be bold and strong for that. Wives to husband, husbands to wives. Hey man, this is about Yahweh. I don't care how you feel. Like Prince would say, we gonna party till it's 1999. We gonna get it on. This ain't about me. This is about Yahweh. So while the ark was away and Obed-Edom was getting the blessings, what was happening for Israel? Somebody else is getting their blessings. Go ahead.
"And I will yet be more vile than thus, and I will be base in mine own sight. And of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor. Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child unto the day of her death."
You know, in this situation here, he said, "And I will yet be more vile than dust, and I'll be base in mine own sight, and of the maidservants which you have spoken of them shall I be had in honor." Sometimes you're taking care of one thing on one side and you don't see how it's affecting the way the rest of the congregation looks at you, the rest of the people deal with you. At the end of the day, are we all being looked at as righteous servants? Are we all being looked at as people who take care of the business? Are we all being looked at as Yahweh's true servants who take care of Yahweh's house? That's the one thing I keep saying. This is Yahweh's house. This is not Esaac's house. This is not Kish's house. Brother Mishael said to me once, "I finally get it, Kish. I finally understand what you mean about reverence in Yahweh's house." To the point that he don't care if none of y'all don't help him clean up. He gonna sing and clean up by himself. Because he's cleaning Yahweh's house. And we, as a congregation who've been here long enough, know what this man does. Because we've seen the attacks that this man has got from his physical house showing up here because they pissed because of the way he deal with Yahweh's house. But he ain't letting that deter him. Pay attention to him when he got the vacuum in his hand. And see if he ain't humming a song. Why? Because the brother said, "I got it, Kish. I got what you mean about reverencing Yahweh's sanctuary." All he want to know is, hey, you come open the door for me. I got work to do. Just give me access. I don't care what nobody else want to do. And I don't care if nobody don't want to help me. Go ahead.
Well, that's it.
That was it. All right, my brother. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. First Corinthians chapter 11.
First Corinthians chapter 11, verse 20 through 34.
Yes, sir.
When ye come together, therefore, into one place, this is not to eat of Yahweh of the Adonai supper. For in eating, every one taketh before other his own supper, and one is hungry, and another is drunken. What? Have ye not houses to eat and to drink in? Or despise ye the church of Elohim, and shame them that have not? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not.
Now, when we get together, let's put it out there. We have some awesome meals. We have some awesome meals. But do we stop and consider that there's people in the kitchen who may not have eaten yet? When some of us jump up and, hey, man, is there seconds? We've gotten to the point where, we'll wait till the sisters say, hey, we ready for seconds. But in certain situations, there's people who don't want to wait. We've got people here with certain dietary restrictions. And then people can't even get what was cooked for them. Does everybody want to sample it? Okay, did you make sure that this brother or sister was able to get seconds of what was prepared specially for them? Do we ever consider that there's people that might be showing up here who may not have a meal to go home to? Do we ask one another, hey brother, how do you live? How do you stay? You good for the night? You good for the next day? We just assume that we all good when we walk through the door. But then at the same token, pride kills. Because a man will leave out of here knowing that he ain't got to know where the next meal is coming from and won't say, hey, brother or sisters, is there any leftovers that I might be able to take with me? What they say, a closed mouth don't get fed. But let's be mindful of one another. Go ahead.
For I have received of the Adonai that which also I delivered unto you, that the Adonai Yahshua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do you remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye, as often as you drink it, in remembrance of me.
So now this one scripture here, I can tell you what's going to happen tomorrow, right? Y'all know what happens tomorrow in Sunday church? It's communion, because he said do it as often. That is not what this is talking about. I already heard a brother, yeah, this is communion Sunday. I was tempted to go say you're going to eat fake blood and drink some sin crackers. Well, you know what? Just don't be confrontational, Kish. Leave it alone. But it was right there. Because I heard him talking to one of the people. Hey, sister, you think you can, the usher board. And I'm sitting there like, it's communion Sunday, so we need you to put on white. Okay. But be thankful that we are in a place where we have learned what these things truly are. We're in the New Testament. This that he's talking about was ordained in the Old Testament, in the past. So what is he dealing with? Something from the past. Go ahead.
For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Adonai's death till he come. Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Adonai unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Adonai. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Adonai's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep.
So do we examine ourselves when we're doing things and partaking of certain things and say, am I worthy of this? And sometimes it may be that just for that moment, you may not be worthy of it. It's not to say that you'll never be worthy of it, but examine yourself in that time. I don't mean to pick on Brother Mishael, but I asked him to pray tonight. And the brother gave me this, I said, brother, it's okay. But guess what? Because whatever is going on within him, he does not feel worthy to pray for the congregation at this point in time. Go ahead, my brother.
I didn't know that was an option.
You were trying to get out of reading, my brother? Go ahead, read.
It ain't an option for you. How about that?
Verse 31. For if we judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Adonai, that we should not be condemned with the world. Wherefore, my brethren, when ye come together to eat, tarry one for another. And if any man hunger, let him eat at home, that ye come not together unto condemnation, and the rest will I set in order when I come.
So, wherefore, my brethren, when you come together to eat, wait one for another. Can we do that? And with all the other isms and schisms that we're worried about, people saying, well, your days are slightly off. And he said, what? The rest I'll put in order when I come. But at least help each other out. Give it a perfect try. I'll take care of the rest when I come. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. And we're going to read verse 1 through 11. So let's back up to chapter 6.
All right. Dare any of you, having a matter against one another, go to law before the unjust, and not before the saints? Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
This is a very great statement, as simple as it seems. Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? First thing is, do you consider yourself a saint? Do you see yourself as a saint? Are you aspiring to be a saint? And if you are, if you've said yes to any of these, then know that the saints shall judge the world. Okay? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? A judge just does not jump up and become a judge. A judge usually has to spend time doing lawyer stuff. And then as you do your work as a lawyer, and eventually you get to come to that status. We read not the law books, right? When we deal with people, we should be dealing with them about the law, right? So that means we're what? Lawyers. Working our way up to becoming judges. But it says, but can you not judge the smallest matters? That's the thing, is sometimes we so set on something being big that the smallest thing throw us off. The past is very interesting. My younger brother plays flag football for a team. His wife also plays flag football on the female side of the team. Some years ago, he got into an altercation on the field. With this altercation, they had a meeting. His wife was a part of the governing body. His wife says, yes, he's too aggressive. Right? That then caught him a fine. A fine has to be paid. Let me show you how Yahweh deal with you. My mind back then is, man, did she realize she just caused her household money? You just took money out your house because you went against your husband. While doing this class, Yahweh says, that scripture hit me. No, this is the type of judge Yahweh wants us to be. Now I have to look back at that example and my thought process back then and change my thought process, because what? She did not let her husband sway the right decision. He's too aggressive. Hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and deal with this fine over here. And maybe you'll learn some lessons, but keep the house in order. This is what Yahweh wants us to be able to do. To be able to judge all things in righteousness. Amen. Says the world. So when you judge in the world, don't you think some of our heathen family members are going to be a part of that judgment? So we're going to look at them and be like, hey man, that's my cousin. I'm going to try to stand up for him. And you might find yourself in the seat of judgment trying to stand up for him. Hey man, when you're a part of the governing body, your job is to listen to the matter, meditate on the matter, and help with the rest of the people reason the outcome of the individual before you. Not to jump in and take their side. I had to look back on that past situation and look at my past thought process and now look at what Yahweh says about that situation and forget what I thought and felt about it, because I was wrong. But can we do that? What was the problem with me? Anybody know why my thought process was like that? It was my brother. Remember I said it was my younger brother. So all I could see is, why is she going to come against him? Why would you do that? Okay. Growth. Go ahead.
Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? If then ye have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church. I speak to your shame. Is it so that there is not a wise man among you? No, not one that shall be able to judge between his brethren.
Can we do that? Can we judge between brethren and brethren? Can we judge between our sisters without getting our feelings involved? Can we do righteous judgment without having somebody swaying us to the left or swaying us to the right? The best way to not be swayed is, let's go to the book. I hear you. I understand. But let's go to the book. Stop trying to persuade me. No. Let's go deal with the book. Go ahead.
But brother goeth to law with brother, and that before the unbelievers. Now therefore there is utterly a fault among you, because you go to law one another
With
one another. Sorry. Why do you not rather take wrong? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Nay, ye do wrong and defraud, and that your brethren.
If we can accept wrong when you know you're not wrong, that's accounted unto you for righteousness. And it's funny. Some things are embedded in you and you don't know. After I got grown, I had a conversation with my father once. And I said, hey man, there's a lot of butt whoopings I got for stuff I didn't do. But I took them butt whoopings. Why? Because I never wanted you to tell anybody that I was ever disrespectful to you. The man just looked at me with a blank stare. Yeah, I took a lot of butt whoopings. Why? Because this person over here said that, and you got angry. You never talked to your kid. You just... So I suffered wrong. Oh, it don't feel good at the time. Hey man, suck it up and move on. But guess what? Maybe that was me being built up for this walk. So now I understand what it already means to suffer wrong when you're not wrong. Go ahead.
Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Elohim? But be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of Elohim. And such were some of you, but ye are washed, but ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of the Adonai Yahshua, and by the Spirit of our Elohim.
That's it. But how many of us can admit, and such were some of us in all of this type of stuff? Or do we just want to forget it and move on? Man, you got a problem if you are not willing to let your children know where you're coming from. You got a problem if you're not willing to let your brothers and sisters know where you're coming from. Hey man, you think your past was that bad that you would deprive someone from learning from your past? All secrets gonna be revealed. And even with your past, there's somebody out there who knows. So what you want to do? Wait till that person come up and tell the story on their side, or you want to tell your own story? At least when you tell your own story, you get to ease it out there. Like I told y'all about the strip club. I stood out here talking to a young brother some years ago. Young brother looked at me. Kish, I would never see you like that. Hey, brother, don't put me on no pedestal. Whatever. So just that conversation was a good conversation because that lets me know you already had me up in some high regards. Hey, I'm a brother of like passions, just like you. But now I can connect with you. As long as you put me up here, then you think I'm unreachable. You don't think you can connect with me. Hey man, my past is just that, my past. And if you ain't got evidence, you can't lock me up for it no more. I got away with it. Let's go to Galatians chapter 1. I could talk about the past. Hey, statute of limitations has ran out on a lot of things.
Saul, an apostle, not of men, neither by man, but by Yahshua the Mashiach, and Elohim Yahweh, who raised him from the dead, and all the brethren which are with me, unto the churches of Galatia, grace be to you, and peace from Elohim Yahweh, and from our Adonai Yahshua, who gave himself for our sins, that he might deliver us from this present evil world, according to the will of Yahweh, the will of Elohim our Father, to whom be glory forever and ever. Amen. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that call you into the grace of the Mashiach unto another gospel, which is not another, but there be some that trouble you and would pervert the gospel of the Mashiach.
So are we looking and expecting that there would be some that would trouble you and pervert the word of the Mashiach? Do we understand when the word's been perverted? Do we know when the word's been perverted? Are we capable of correcting it when it's perverted? Or do we just let it stand and keep going? Go ahead.
But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed.
Now, you got to look at the level he took this to. From our class earlier today, we talked about Michael and his angels fought, and Satan and his angel fought. So Satan's got his angels, right? The brother just said, but though we are an angel from heaven, preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. Don't let it be far-fetched that an angel can put something out there. Go ahead.
And as we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. For do I now persuade men or Elohim, or do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I should not be a servant of the Mashiach.
So hard sayings, hard speeches are necessary. Who are you trying to please? Who are you working for? And then ask yourself, who's going to give you the paycheck in the end? The man or the woman that you trying to please, can they give you the paycheck of salvation? Ask yourself that question. I'm going to ask myself the same question too. Go ahead.
But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after me. For I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Yahshua the Mashiach. For ye have heard of my conversations in time past in the Yehudi religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of Elohim and wasted it.
Verse 13, for you have heard of my conversation in time past in the Yehudi's religion. Y'all heard how I used to operate. I'm not hiding my past. Whether I told it to you or you heard it from somebody else. Man, y'all know how I used to deal in the past. This man is not running from his past. This man is letting his past build him. And then he can reflect and say, okay, y'all know this is how I deal, but look how I deal now. Does it match up? Do you see the difference? And like I said, there's still a lot of people around who know how he dealt. And believe me, them people are still looking. I don't care how far your walk gets. People are still looking and waiting for you to stumble and fall and going back to the old man. So let's strive to keep saying that was the past. Go ahead.
And profited in the Yehudi's religion above many my equals in mine own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers. But when it pleased Elohim, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace, to reveal his Son in me, that I might preach him among the heathens immediately, I conferred not with the flesh and blood, neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me, but I went into Arabia and returned again unto Damascus. Then after 3 years I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter and abode with him 15 days.
So this man's letting you know on his journey, he's sitting here explaining his past with no problems. I ain't got no hang-ups about my past. It was 3 years before he actually went and sat down with the rock. But he was working the whole time. It took him 3 years. But what? Situation and circumstances came up. But then again, he was in a different part of the world than Cephas. Hey man, we sitting here and stuff will go on for 3 years and then the person get to where it's like, well, I didn't know. Why didn't you know? Too afraid to ask. I constantly hear people, oh, Esaac is busy, I won't bother him right now. Okay. That's your question, your situation not getting resolved. I'm going to get my answers. I might not like the answer, but I'm going to get my answers. He can tell you, I'll call him, hey, this thought just came in my mind. I'm reading the scripture. And he might say, nah, bro, you're looking at that the wrong way. Oh, yeah, brother. But then also look at this other level. Oh, there's another level? I tell y'all think I'm joking. Mine's a little warped. I get some thought processes that I have to say, hey, am I looking at this the right way? At least guess what? I come up here and say something stupid. And then I have to do it next class saying, you know what? Let me take that all back. That was wrong of me. Never be afraid to ask. Take the opportunities while it's there. Three years. But even in the same token of asking, hey man, let's also not be afraid to show love to one another when you see a brother or sister doing something out of what's written in this book. Because that's what happens. 3 years go by. All of a sudden it gets dealt with. Everybody, what happened? They got used to operating in the way that they operated, and we all got used to them operating that way. And now we all shook and shocked when it's addressed. But we all to blame because we allowed it to happen. Each and every one of us They might not like it. I might not like it. I tell you what, you're going to like the lake of fire even less. Go ahead.
But other of the apostles saw I none, save James, the Adonae's brother. Now the things which I write unto you, behold, before Elohim, I lie not. Afterwards I came into the region of Syria and Cilicia, and I was unknown unto the churches of Judea, which were in the Mishiach, but they had heard only that he which persecuted us in time past now preacheth the faith which once he destroyed, and they glorified Elohim in me.
So the word is out about this brother. See, still about his past. But guess what they say? He once did this, but now he's doing this. But they still go to the past first. Let's not be afraid of the past. Whether it be ours or someone else's. It's there for us to learn from. Hey, what we going through here? Past, present, and future. But do we know what's past? Do we know what's present and what's future? Are we able to decipher that? Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. First Corinthians chapter 15, and we're going to read verses 9 through 10.
For I am the least of the apostles, that am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of Elohim. But by the grace of Elohim I am what I am, and his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all, yet not I, but the grace of Elohim which was with me.
So, for I'm the least of the apostles, that am not fit to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of Elohim. So this man is still dealing with himself harshly for his past doings and his past deeds. This is coming out of his mouth. This is not somebody talking about him. So he's still letting you know, I don't feel worthy to be called an apostle because of my past doings. Can we humble ourselves and remember what wretched man or woman we were? And still realize that some of them attributes are still there. At least you get comfortable and you mistreating the sons and daughters of Elohim. But by the grace of Elohim, I am what I am. And his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain. How can this man say it's not in vain? Why? But I labored more abundantly than they all. That's why I can tell you what he put on me ain't in vain. Because I know what he brought me from. So guess what? I know I got works to do. Up there is what? The route that he traveled. Hey man, Cephas' route ain't like that. Peter ain't got no route like that. So guess what? I know I've been putting foot to pavement. Where do we get comfortable? When do we get comfortable and figure we've done enough? When do we say, I've been doing this long enough? When do we get high-minded that somebody presents something to do at the camp? Nah, I got enough. Really? We all should be trying to work it off. Because whereas we think that, well, you know, from 20 to 21 was when I was bad. Okay. What about all them other unrighteous decisions or all them other unrighteous things that came out of your mouth that you may not be accounting for? Do we examine ourselves and our calling into this walk and see if Yahweh called us in vain? We all need to examine ourselves. Honestly, man, I worked a job for 17 years before getting laid off. I always heard that, you know, you need to try to get to work early. You need to try to get here on time. Hey, man, that don't happen when it comes to Yahweh's house. No. I'm going to be late for your job, but I'm going to be on time for Yahweh's job. Because what? The protection that Yahweh can give me over here, you ain't going to ever be able to give me. So while you watching me being late for your job, hey, Yahweh going to still take care of me. As long as I'm taking care of the things concerning Him first. He going to show me favor. And all of a sudden, you don't understand why. You know, I keep talking to this brother about showing up to work on time, but I have yet to write him up. Because my Elohim controls all things. And I'm not going to be put out until he thinks it's time for me to leave. Hey, man, I fight, claw, get ticked off when it's time to come here on the Sabbath. I got 2 of my sons, 3, 4 of my sons in a room. Ask them. Ask them. This used to be a problem. The 2 older ones can tell you they've gotten left. I'm ready to pull out. They're not there. Goodbye. I need to be here at a certain time to open the doors so the saints don't have to sit out in the parking lot and burn or freeze, depending on the time of the year. Ask my Isha. It came to, you know what? You tick everybody off on the Sabbath. Why don't you just drive and we'll meet you there? But then eventually, guess what? She starts saying, hey, no, we ain't driving no 2 cars. You know your dad, y'all need to be ready to go out the door when we're ready to go. Because what? What was important to me then became important to her. Then she put it on them. Because guess what? I'm not going to stick around to drive y'all. I'm going with him. So that means you're getting left. Where's our priorities at? Was your calling in vain? Reverence Yahweh's sanctuary. There's always works to be done. Go ahead, my brother.
Actually, are we Kings, 2 Kings?
Where do we stop there? Okay. Yeah, let's go to 2 Kings chapter 22. Stop trying to rush through this, man. It'll be okay. You're doing a fine job, my brother. You're doing a fine job. Second Kings chapter 22, and we're going to read verses 8 through 20.
And Hilkiah the high priest said unto Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of Yahweh. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. And Shaphan the scribe came to the king, and brought the king word again, and said, Thy servants have gathered the money that was found in the house, and have delivered it into the hand of them that do the work, that have the oversight of the house of Yahweh. And Shaphan the scribe showed the king, saying, Hilkiah the priest hath delivered me a book. And Shaphan read it before the king. And it came to pass, when the king had heard the words of the book, of the law, that he rent his clothes. And the king commanded Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam the son of Shaphan, and Akbar the son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Azahiah the servant of the kings, saying, Go ye, acquire of Yahweh for me, and for the people, and for all Judea, concerning the word of this book that is found. For great is the wrath of Yahweh that is kindled against us, because our fathers have not hearkened unto the words of this book, to do according unto all that which is written concerning us.
So now they get the book. Now they're going through the scriptures of the book. And they see how past things was supposed to be dealt with. Now he's saying what? Our fathers didn't deal with it. That's what the past. And because they haven't dealt with it in the past the right way, hey man, we're dealing with the anger of Yahweh. So now go inquire of Yahweh for me about what I read in the book, so I can get a better understanding of how we should deal with this going forward.
So Hilkiah, the priest, and Ahikam, and Akbar, and Shaphan, and Hasiah went unto Huldah, the prophetess, the wife of Shallum, the son of Tikvah, the son of Harhaz, keeper of the wardrobe. Now she dwelt in Jerusalem in the college, and they communed with her. And she said unto them, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim of Israel, Tell the men that sent you to me, Thus saith Yahweh, Behold, I will bring evil upon this place, and upon the inhabitants thereof, even all the words of the book which the king of Judea hath read. Because they have forsaken me, and have burned incense unto other gods, that they might provoke me to anger with all the works of their hands. Therefore my wrath shall be kindled against this place, and shall not be quenched. But the king of Judea, which sent you to acquire of Yahweh, thus shall you say to him, Thus say Yahweh Elohim of Israel, as touching the words which thou hast heard, because thine heart was tender, and thou hast humbled thyself before Yahweh, when thou heardest what I spake against this place, and against the inhabitants thereof, that they shall become a desolation and a curse, and has rent thy clothes, and wept before me, I also have heard thee, saith Yahweh. Behold, therefore I will gather thee unto thy fathers, and thou shalt be gathered into thy grave in peace, and thine eyes shall not see all the evil which I will bring upon this place. And they brought the king word again.
So this man is now dealing with past dealings. They have done this. Yahweh is upset about it. But then Yahweh said, look what? You've been able to look at this and back up and rent your clothes. Prayers and supplications, a broken and contrite heart. I see how much this means to you. You know what? This won't even happen in your time. He's not the only one that benefits from it, though. Because it's not happening in his time, everybody in his time gets the benefit from it. But what? Past dealings. Let's correct past dealings. Let's examine past dealings, so that these things won't come up in our time. 360 degrees. When you're examining something, 360 degrees. Flip it upside down, turn it around. Left, right, shake it. But while you're doing that, put yourself in there and see what part you played in allowing things to happen. In every situation, we're all involved one way or another. You either said something to bring about change, you said something to agree with, you took a neutral position. There's going to be an outcome one way or another. When the outcome happens, can you honestly look at yourself and say, I did all that I could to help this person walk in a righteous manner? That's for all of us. 360 degrees. Don't just examine the person. Examine how you have tried to help the person. What have you done to aid in our brothers and sisters becoming better servants? All right, let's go to 2 Corinthians. This is going to, we got one more after this. Well, this will technically be the last one. I know you sweating over there, my brother. It's okay. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12.
Now I, Saul, myself beseech you, by the meekness and gentleness of the Mashiach, whose in presence am based among you, but being absent am bold towards you. But I beseech you, that I may not be bold when I am present, with that confidence wherewith I think to be bold against some, which think of us as if we walked according to the flesh.
So, if you listen to that, there's a bit of attitude behind that. He says, but I beseech you that I may not be bold when I'm present with that confidence. In other words, right now, it's probably best I'm writing this letter. So it'll probably take a little steam off me by the time I get to you. Wherewith I think to be bold against some, which think of us as if we walked according to the flesh. Man, I'm dealing spiritually. You trying to think I'm carnal and I'm fleshly? Oh, right now I'm hot. But it's best that I'm writing this letter so that by the time I reach you, I may have calmed down a little bit. And that's what people don't see. When things happen, all we looking at is the fleshly, woe is me. Let's look at the spiritual side of this. Let's look at the correction, the rebuke, the true love. That someone even took the time to rebuke you. Go ahead.
For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Elohim to pull down of strongholds.
Now, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Let's get that in mind, in our heads. We heard earlier about people being possessed. So we see the fleshly person, but is it that fleshly person that we're really warring with? Let's understand that. And if we understand that, then we'll understand that we need different types of weapons of war. Go ahead.
Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted
You know what?
itself.
At the end of verse 4. But mightily through Elohim, the pulling down of strongholds. Man, what's a stronghold? That thought process that you got can be a stronghold. Your belief in where you want to stand can be a stronghold. But you're wrong. But you don't want to come off of it. It's a stronghold because it's got you. It's holding on to you very strongly. But in order to try to reach you, hey, I'm going to have to use what's in the book. I'm going to have to use what Yahweh's given me. So through Elohim, I might be able to help pull it down. But at some point, we also have to learn to back up and leave it alone. What will we allow to grab us so strongly outside of this word that nobody can't reach us? We all need to think about that. Go ahead.
Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Elohim, and bringing into captivity every thought of obedience of the Mashiach.
Casting down imaginations. One thing about it is, we all know, except for the kids, we all know that show Ghostbusters, right? If you're not exercised in the word, if you ain't been around long enough, if somebody doesn't show you certain attributes and certain things, come around and around and around again, you will never understand what that means. Casting down imaginations. Hey man, we've had people here. I see what's going on, Kish. I see what's going on. People keep moving my shoes. I see them over there standing by my shoes. I see it, Kish. I know it. They don't think I can see it. I know what they're doing. Okay. All right. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Go ahead.
And having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. Do ye look on things after the outward appearance? If any man trusts to himself that he is the Mashiach's, let him of himself think this again, that as he is the Mashiach's, even so are we the Mashiach's.
Do you look on things after the outward appearance? Like I told y'all earlier. I'm a wonderful individual. But let me ask the rest of the congregational members what they think about me. Please be honest. But then again, let me have somebody else go ask, and then that person come back and report to me. 9 times out of 10, it's not what was said to my face that this person is going to report back. If you got honest people in your life, be thankful. I got to deal with honesty. It ain't always good when it come across. Hey man, my issue is going to be straight up and honest. And if I was one of them people with little self-esteem, I'd be broken. I used to tell me, hey, when you behind the altar, I feel like we all got a butt whooping. Oh, damn, is that bad? I hear y'all laughing over there. Stop. But I can deal with that honesty. I can deal with you come across too harsh. I heard you in this conversation. Why you come down on that brother like that? Man, you don't give this brother a chance. You just on that brother. He don't get to make a mistake. And you know what? In certain situations, I've had to back up and examine myself and look how I've dealt with that person in the past or with people in the past and start adjusting it. And then I can go to that person. Because you know what? Sometimes what's irking us is that little thing in that person that we won't tell them about. But it's building and it's building and it's building and it's irking us. So we can't have peace with the person. But we won't tell them what it is. And then finally you go to a brother and say, brother or a sister, do you realize this? Have conversations with people. I say, hey man, brother, do you understand what you're putting forth and how you're making yourself look to the congregation? Sister, I seen you do this. You showed me something that you are capable of continuing to do this, but you choose not to. Hey, it's okay. You don't have to feel like, because some of it, we all have different defense mechanisms built up. Some of us will take in more than others. And some of us, the minute somebody say, hey, what? I was just going to ask you how your day was going. But then we start to have to examine past. What type of environment was this person raised in? What type of environment does this person live in? What type of environment does this person deal in? I've had to tell people, hey, look, don't feel like you have to know everything. We ain't gonna get no prize for knowing everything up in here. There's people, the minute you say somebody, oh, I know what you're talking about. I know it. Get on. Let me at least get it out first. This ain't Jeopardy where you gotta beat everybody to get the answer. Just relax. It's okay. Like I mentioned in Bible study, I stood right here, brother talking to priest Esaac, and he threw out scriptures. Yeah, such and such and such. And I stood right over there in the corner. Brother, what scripture you said that was again? Brother, that's not what that says. But see, we want to seem like we so smart. It's okay not to know. Let's take the examples of the 12 apostles. Can you explain this to us? But before they stood by, and I'm sure all the people were, man, boy, these apostles got it going on. They know what he's talking about. Little hey, sure. Can you expound on that? Tell us what. Are you also without understanding? Yep. But please explain to me. Because what? When he's gone and the situation comes up again in another area, I can explain it. Or the same people who did not get the understanding, when one of the two of them come around, or those who desire to know, can you explain it? Hey, where Yahshua at? Can somebody get Yahshua? Bro, why you don't know this? How long you were walking with Yahshua? You don't understand the answer? You can't explain it for yourself? That's the problem with us trying to run from everything. The time is going to come. If we're going to be a kingdom of priests, I hope you're prepared that somebody's going to come and ask you something. And you better be able to explain it, righteously. At least you got blood on your hands. This brother over here is trying to run from reading. He's doing a fine job. I mean, his knees are knocking over there, but he'll be all right. But in most situations when it comes to Yahweh's house, the new word that I'm hearing now is you've been voluntold. Let's learn to step up before we voluntold. It's Yahweh's house. Nobody's going to give you any unrighteous thing to do. It's okay to volunteer. My kids tell me, Dad, you always told us don't volunteer for stuff. Listen, I see you back there. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. In Yahweh's house, it's okay. It's okay to show ambition. That's how we get stuff done. And you shouldn't have to wait for Michelle to put out a list. Y'all can go and tell, hey, Michelle, I got this today. I'm going to cover this. You ain't got to worry about it. I see this needs to be done. I know how to do this. We don't know what everybody in the room knows how to do. You look around and you say, you know what? I see the plaster falling down off the wall over there and I can fix it. You know what, Priest Esaac? I'm good with that. Do you mind if I do that and take care of that? I do electricity. I see some bulbs are out. There might be a problem with the baluster. I know y'all done changed the bulbs and they keep going out. I know how to take care of it. It's Yahweh's house. Hey man, they're sisters. They get ticked off when we do projects and they're not around because they want to be able to help. Now it's sad that you got sisters who getting ticked off and brothers who don't care and just show up. Whoa, when did y'all do that? Wow, that is new. We don't have secret conversations about what's going on. I got brothers that tell me, hey, Kish, we plan to come up here next first day and we want to clean the closet out. You're going to need to make yourself available so we can get in. It's Yahweh's house. Go ahead, my brother.
For though I should boast somewhat more of our authority, which the Adonai hath given us for edification, and not for your destruction, I should not be ashamed, that I may not seem as if I would terrify you by letters. For his letters say they are weighty and powerful, but his bodily presence is weak, and his speech is contemptible. Let such and one think this, that such as we are in the word by letters when we are absent, such will we be also indeed when we are present.
So in other words, you can go ahead and think that I'm just being bold in this letter. You can go ahead and think that it's just some lip service on a letter. But just know when I show up, it's going to be the same type of boldness for this word. So go ahead and look at my stature and think I'm weak and whatever. But when I come there, I'm about handling that business. Anybody who's ever seen Jacob was a little man. But he was big. So big that most people ran away from him. So look at the little stature. But he was an old lion with a powerful roar. Are we just about talking it? That's basically what they saying. He talking, he sending some letters. But let's see if he really about it when he show up. And he letting you know, no, I'm about this when I show up too. So go ahead and think what you want to think and feel what you want to feel. But it's going to be a whole different story when I show up. That's why some people, there's a new brother showed up today. And I had to ask the brother, he said, yeah, I watched the class online. I said, you watched last week's class? I said, brother, and with Priest Esaac coming up off the chair, you still want to show up? Hey man, stuff like that is enough to scare people. A lot of people don't want to be around that type of fire, that type of heat. I've always said, if I become watered down, then I do a disservice to the old man that I learned from. Hey, some unsavory words came out of that man's mouth behind the altar, okay? But what? It was passion because he was ticked off at what was going on. That was my past. And here I am in the present, and there's still stuff going on. So are we not supposed to be ticked off when stuff happens? Are we not supposed to express it boldly that there's some displeasure? Take a line from Jay-Z's song. We all lose when the family feuds. But hopefully, when the feud is done, we can all examine ourselves, see where we went wrong, and have a tighter bond. Hey man, there's no way that mess should come through the door and y'all waiting for a priest to step to the door to tell somebody, hey, nah, you need to get out of here. You need to back up. Once again, it's Yahweh's house. You allow mess to come through the door, we all accountable. I allow mess to come through the door, we all accountable. Go ahead.
For we dare not make ourselves of the number or compare ourselves with the some that commend themselves, but they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise.
There you go. But what is your gauge that you judging yourself off of? What are you using to exalt yourself that you could be comfortable to think that because of years in the Word, you're good? What do you use to compare yourself to think that because you're around the Word, you're good? Hey, Yehudis was around the Word. For we dare not make ourselves of the number. We don't want to be accounted with those people or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, patting yourself on the back, but they measuring themselves by themselves, so nobody's told you what a good job you're doing. You took it to yourself and said, I'm doing a great job. I am fine. I am splendid. I'm the greatest. And comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. So then what you do, you go find other people with the same thought process who've been patting themselves on the back. And we all good together. How about you find some people who are going to be honest with you, going to be truthful with you, and then examine yourself by what you've heard. Don't let it just be one person, though. Let's not just go off of what one person says. Like I said earlier, let's inquire of the congregation. Let's inquire of your co-workers. Let's inquire of your heathen friends as well. And then compare it to the book and see where we really stand. Though I might have more than enough in my spiritual account to cover my past deeds, I am not able to transfer funds to my wife or children who are of age of accountability, nor can they transfer any to me. But we can help each other by doing some honest checks and balances, which is often hard to give and to receive because feelings get in the way. But would you rather have a family member, natural or spiritual, burn because of feelings? In the end, how are you really feeling? Ezekiel, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 18. This will be our last piece of scripture for tonight. Ezekiel chapter 18, and we're going to read verses 20 through 22.
The soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. But if the wicked will turn from all his sins that he hath committed, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live, he shall not die. All his transgressions that he hath committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him, and his righteousness that he hath done, he shall live.
So all the stuff that he has done in the past, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he has done, he shall live. So even here it's letting you know that still what's going to come into account? The past. So are we examining our past so that it doesn't have to be brought up to us? Everyone's past is history. If there was an addition to the Bible of your history for future generations, how would it read and what would be your outcome? Would it be a story of triumph onto righteousness or unrighteousness? As was the history of Yehudas Iscariot being around the word but not in the word. As far-fetched as this may seem, just remember Revelations chapter 20 verse 12 states, "And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works." We all have a book. How is it going to read? And what will it be used for? Let's examine ourselves. That's all we're going to do for this evening. Everybody enjoy your new moon. Shalom.
Shalom.